now thrilled to introduce our digital ATDN coordinator, Jose Adorno, a true digital literacy superhero. Jose brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our community, helping educators and learners alike navigate the world of digital tools with confidence. Known for his depth of knowledge and dedication, Jose is here to lead us through bridging the classroom and beyond using digital literacy profiles. In this session, he'll guide us on creating personalized digital literacy skill paths, enabling digital navigators to connect classroom learning to real-world applications. I know his insights and tools will empower us all to help learners apply their digital skills effectively, both in and beyond the classroom. So please join me in welcoming, once again, Jose.
Thank you. I'm feeling a kick of it. Thank you for the introduction. So far, this is our third session now. So far we covered what was digital navigators, right? With Jerry Yamashita, the roles and responsibilities with that. Then we followed up with some of the digital equity services that are available here in Connecticut and in your local areas. Now we're going to be exploring how do we bridge the classroom with these resources and everything that's around us, but we're going to be using digital literacy profiles from students. How do we identify those needs that the students have, and how do we help them throughout? And that's today's presentation. Before we begin, I wanted to run an activity, and it's called the DeLorean School Bus. And here are the instructions. We have an extraordinary opportunity for everyone in this room to visit their past self for 15 to 20 seconds. During this brief moment, you can only offer one crucial piece of advice. Recommend a digital skill that would have helped during a challenging time in your journey to where you are today. Be careful, though. Any other information shared could have massive repercussions on the timeline, which is why we only have to do it with digital literacy skill. You could type your response in the chat. I'll give you like about a minute so you could think about it. And just whenever you're ready, you could put it in the chat. Yes, Amy. Iron Man audio intro. Did it then? Coding. Okay. We have one digital skill there. I consider myself fluent with Excel in spreadsheets, but I would have asked myself to do it several years sooner than when I did. Hard to think of one. Don't be afraid to try new things. Take risks, right? How to research playing with the words. Oh, yes. When Google, well, I'm saying Google, but when search engine started, advanced spreadsheet skills, Google Sheets. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So as a reflection, right? Did you know what to say? And this you could share in the chat, or you can just reflect on it. What information did you use to formulate your answer? So did the digital skills did you think about digital skills required in your current role? Did you think about the opportunities that you passed that would have helped you in the career development, or any other relevant information? Before we go there, the point with this that we want to bring out is that you have having this activity, you have that background knowledge of what are your strengths, what are the things that you are able to work that you work through. So you have that scope. You have that bird's eye view of what you've been through, what you're capable of. And a lot of the times we don't know that. We just have this silhouette of a person that is able to do many things, but we don't know how to support that person into achieving that self. So with that in mind, as we go through through the diverse learner profiles, we look at some assessments, is think about how can you paint that picture, helping that student get an understanding of who they are as they could as they start their digital navigator. I mean, you as a digital navigator, as they start into the digital journey, into knowing themselves and reaching their goals and that kind of thing. So our goal and agenda for today: utilize digital learner profiles to develop personalized digital literacy skill paths aligned with adult learner goals and adapt classroom instruction to achieve these digital skill targets. Okay. Now, in order to work on that, we're going to look at these following items from the session. We're going to overview the digital skills in the North Star, DART, and Google Applied Digital Skills curriculum. Very bird's eye view. We're not going to go in deep with any of that, but just to kind of get a gist of what we're working with. 2, we're going to identify the assessments and resources used to identify digital skill proficiency. Then we're going to explore the diverse learner profile support goal and instruction alignment for agencies and learners. And then we have a surprise resource from Digital ATN that we'll be sharing at the end. So the first curriculum that we're going to briefly talk about is North Star Digital Literacy. A lot of the agencies have had the opportunity to work with North Star already. This is offered free to the agencies that opted in. It's not a free program, but it's being cost, and there's no charge for how many students that you're getting in and the resources that they have available. Now, within that, what they offer, North Star includes standards, scope and sequence, and lessons for implementing digital literacy in the classroom. It measures students' digital literacy levels with assessments. There are a total of 15 modules available for both synchronous and asynchronous learning, and teachers can track student progress through assessments and module completion percentage, right? Great way to just see when the students start and how they navigate through the module, how they do under their assessment, and just gets all that data together so you could get that picture of what they are currently working on and how they're progressing throughout the assessment or throughout the program. Our second one is the DART curriculum. Now, DART curriculum is a collection of 20 lessons for pre-beginner and beginner ESL. The curriculum teaches digital literacy concepts while focusing on English language skills, okay? It incorporates North Star modules starting at lesson 10. What this means with DART in comparison to North Star and Google, that I will talk next, is that there's no hands-on technology that like directly from the lessons up to like about lesson 10. You'll start learning about keyboards and mouse and that kind of thing, but you're not really engaging on it. You're trying to build that vocabulary as you're building the language in order to start working on those things. And last but not least, it serves as a supplemental resource to address language gaps for low digital learner literacy learners. So in addition to using this as its standalone curriculum, those students that are struggling with North Star and need a little bit more scaffolding can use DART curriculum to scaffold to those areas and really just dig down on those gaps that student learners know. We will be presenting more on this during EOSL Day, but during our pilot, that was the biggest thing that was pronounced. That was how DART was used, and it was as a supplemental resource to target those additional areas that students needed extra support. Our third one is the Google Applied Digital Skill Curriculum. This this curriculum is based off the ISTE standards framework. It focuses on applying technology across different contexts. It is a higher entry level for digital literacy. I'm going to have a little cheat sheet screen that you could see in a minute. So we recommend North Star modules for foundation purposes in order for them to get in. And the modules that we recommend will be basic computer skills, internet basics, and using email. That will give you enough of the basic skills in order for them to go into Google, signing into their Google account, accessing the navigating the internet to access these resources. They also have printable lesson plans and units available, and there's over 100 lessons that can be completed asynchronously in Google Classroom. Now, we have here a curriculum progression for digital literacy development. And when we go over this here, this bar is just kind of give you a visual idea of how this works. But the DART curriculum is geared for pre-beginner and beginner ESL and digital literacy learners, right? It incorporates North Star beginning on lesson 10. It's great as a supplemental resource. As we see here, the entry level is low, right? You don't have to have a high digital skill level to be able to use the DART curriculum, as well as the English language level. This has been one of the challenges in the past. DART curriculum is written for low literacy, and there's practice involved and repeats of some of the lesson activities in order to build that language. So that's if these are the barriers, DART is your starter part. With North Star, the modules and the resources are written for a 212 or higher CASAS reading score. This is where that gap happens, right? This is why the English language level is a little bit higher than, or significantly higher, right? If you have a student 170, 180, then it is pretty high. But you will see that the requirement to use North Star would require higher English language level. They do have it in Spanish, but the reality is there's other languages as well. So it's not, they only have it in Spanish. They don't have other languages. You can assess students at entry. They have self-paced modules. You can earn certificates and badges, and you can also track student progress. This is more a program-based resource with access to curriculum and lessons. Our third one is our Google Applied Digital Skills. And here it will require basic digital literacy skills. Like we recommended, you're looking at basic computer skills, using internet and using internet basics and using email. You could track student progress with Google Classroom, which is an optional piece. They also have self-paced modules, and you can also earn certificates. They also have it in Spanish as well. But as you see here, compared to North Star, digital skill level is a little higher because you do need to toggle between the Google programs that they have available. So if you're going from Google Sheets and you're going into a Google Doc or going into a Google Form or you're navigating the internet, it does require you to go outside of the platform in order to complete some of the tasks. In North Star, everything's within the program, the module, and they have other additional resources, but the core content is within that module, within that page. So you have a more controlled experience and less digital navigation involvement, so to speak, right? And then again, for the English language level, it's a little bit higher. They have transcripts and everything. They're very thorough with what they offer, but compared to an English language learner, it tends to be a little bit more challenging. There's more components to look at. So we offer it as the progression, and then that's like your visual cue as to more if you're trying to eyeball how are you which one you will select at a given time. If you have any if you have any questions, just feel free to put it in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer at any point. So we're going to be talking about assessing students' digital literacy. And there's 4 that I have listed here. I will talk about these 4 on this slide, but we are going to build off more on the diverse learner checklist. Okay, so the first point of assessment to understanding our students' digital literacy will be the CASAS testing. What was the overall test experience? When a student comes in and they take an assessment, how did they do on the assessment, right? Did they struggle with access, how to sign in and enter some of the information? Do they have a mouse, or did they had trouble accessing the mouse or clicking and holding? Seen that through testing, right? Maybe they don't know how to use the touchpad, and you had to use the touch screen, which is a third option, which has been which assisted a lot with the accessibility. You just tap what you're trying to choose, and it tends to be easier. Was your language barrier, right? What is the English language proficiency, or how students are doing in the language, which will then, looking at that previous slide, help determine what curriculum will be the best to start with. And then what was the learner score? A student with a less than 212 score can still do North Star. They need some scaffolding, maybe some onboarding, front loading some of the vocabulary and concepts before you continue to before you launch them into North Star. I wish North Star had one pre-assessment that touched on all the modules. See, you'll make me think on things. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna be quiet for now, but I'm gonna look into it and see if there's anything that kind of stands out. Number 2, North Star screeners. The screeners assess whether learners have the level of computer skills required to take the assessments. Wasn't supposed to be a question. I'll fix it. They can be found under resources, other resources, and screeners. That's when you sign into North Star. I linked both here, but they have in English and Spanish. I'm going to show you the English one for basic. Here, you will circle the laptop, match the computer part names to the correct picture, which type of cursor shows that you're on top of a link. And these are just some basic ones. If they are struggling with some of these, then when they're going into North Star, a lot of this is covered under basic computer skills, but maybe getting the student there on the website and to sign it independently might be a challenge if they don't know how to navigate part of it. But this, again, will give you an idea of their level. They also have an interactive version. If I can click on it. Nope. I can't click on it right now, but I promise it's there. That one it's more like an oral interview. You'll go, you'll talk to them, you'll ask them these questions without them necessarily recording it on a sheet. You'll kind of make notes of it. The third one is the North Star assessments. For the North Star assessments, right, it helps identify the digital literacy skills learners possess at the beginning of a module. It helps track skills developed through lesson completion, assessments, and reports. And the curriculum is already aligned to these standards. So once you do your North Star assessment, and I will talk more about this in our North Star implementation training that is also happening next month. When they do an assessment, you see how well either the student individually or as a group, based on how they demonstrated that skill, then you will know they will actually also know how to further develop that skill or go to those areas in the module itself in order to just practice those concepts that they missed. Um, and then again, I'm a fan of reports. I like to see what shows up on reports, and you could pull that as well. See if there's something common across the board that you could cover and just do a workshop on and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of ways that you could navigate the digital literacy development for your classroom, for your students, for your agency using North Star assessments. Thank you, Amy. The final one is the diverse learner checklist. So this checklist references the Seattle Digital Skills Framework. It includes I can statements to help visualize the digital skills in different contexts and organizes the digital skills by diverse learner types to inform on the relevancy across roles. I will talk more about this in the next slide. So I will leave this part here so that way we have more time with the other sections. Just so you could focus on what your students needed, yeah. A new career goal. We need to talk about that. Okay, the Seattle Digital Equity Initiative. I'm not sure if you would like to do raise of hands, if you want to type yes in the chat. Are you familiar with the Seattle Digital Equity Initiative Digital Skills Framework, also known as SDEI Digital Skills? Yes, love it. Okay. I'll take a look in a minute to see what your response is. In the meantime, I'll continue talking a little bit. Okay, no, I'm not. So we have 50-50 right now. So the SDEI Digital Skills Framework outlines digital skills needed to engage across 10 different areas, such as communication, online learning, and the workplace, each reflecting the different ways technology is used to participate effectively in these areas. So down here, there's a link, which I can't click. I put them too much in the bottom. This will take you to the digital skills. When you receive the slides, it will take you to the digital skill framework, and you'll see all the standards there. These are different areas that are available. Just as a fun fact, what they did was that they looked at all these different digital skills, standards and guidelines, framework, and they all broke it down in different areas. They have ISTE here, North Star, they have Ditch Comp, I think it is, and in a few others. They have like about 9, and then they have like some programs as well. Out of all of that, they were able to get 10 different domains, and that's how they write it is very like the core skill of what it is in digital literacy, which is a lot easier to kind of look at as a starting point. So very interesting. It's kind of extensive. I kind of like that stuff, so I like to read it. But there's the links are there, and then they have the document, which actually Jerry has it in one of his links as well. But then the big question is, why use a diverse learner checklist? You already have access to the experience through the CASAS testing. You already have the North Star modules, and you have the screeners if you need it to be more specific. What makes a diverse learner checklist worth checking out? So number one, it helps highlight the importance of digital skills based on the roles and responsibilities of the learner. In other words, buy-in. Very important to explain learners why is it important to know how to communicate on a computer, know how to use social media and other things. These, and we'll go into it in a minute, you'll have different skills that apply to different roles. When you see that and you see those skills in that context, it gives you a better understanding as to why it's important to learn versus me telling you have to learn this. It assists in a proper placement of digital skill proficiency that is based on skills and not strictly on a device. I've known students, and I'll include my parents in this one, they're very, they know how to navigate online. right? In fixed context, on their phones. My dad could show me something that they're selling, and he could pull the address and the phone number and everything, and he could tell me he's looking at it, has good reviews, and all that kind of stuff. Now, you put him on a computer, he has no idea what you can do with it. And with my mom, she could look up any sort of video, funny video, educational video, recipe, and all that kind of stuff. These are specific contexts. This will show how students actually know how to navigate and interact in the digital world. How can you get that students to bring that level of proficiency into another device, into another context? Last but not least, it provides agencies with examples on how to create activities, lessons, and other opportunities to apply digital skills in controlled environments for safe practice. One of the biggest concerns is the confidence, which came up in Mary Kate's presentation, previous presentation. Confidence. Students are scared to use technology. Some of them already know how to use part of it. How do you bring that confidence over that this is the same thing that you're doing? It just looks a little bit different. So we have 7 diverse learner profile types. We have employment, senior citizen, parent, education, beginning user, life, and mobile. I went out and wanted to see not just what skills they were, but I wanted to see how many skills. There's a total of 75 skills in the Seattle Digital Equity Initiative Digital Skill Framework. And or for those 75, not all applies to everyone. It depends on the role. So you see here a list of different skills that apply to that specific role, which a parent is the highest with 55, right? And I promise that we'll go into we're going to do some hands-on. Just wanted to give you a frame of how it looks like before we go in. The next thing is the I can statements and assessments. The I can statement help visualize the digital skills under 4 different contexts. I can in my life, I can in my work, I can in my education, and I can as a teacher and trainer. This last one is going to apply more for your agency, but we kept it all together, and I'll show you later what I mean as to we kept it. But these are the 4 ways that you could see this skill in action. So it's not just, okay, communicate effectively. What does that mean? Well, it means that in my life, I could reach out. I could reach out in social media and I could post something, or I could go into a group chat and I could share something that happened today. That kind of thing. You could also find assessment templates you can customize and use to collect data to enhance your program, services, and partnerships. With that, we're going to jump into the Bridges Digital. Oh, I can't click on it. Bridges Digital Skill Resilience Toolkit. Okay. Actually, I want to get the other link. I can't get it. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Actually, I could do it that way. Pardon for. Here it is. So if you were on the Bridges toolkit, it's on page 4, and then you're going to skills checklist. There is a link that's directly in the. There's a link that's directly in the presentation. It's just for that bar in the bottom doesn't let me share it. So let's see. Before I share this with you, I want you to take a look at it first, do a quick navigation of what it is and how it works. You have your home page. All these are linked to the different skills. To the different tabs, I mean. You have your full checklist for the toolkit, right? Well, I mean for the SDEI skills, which are here. You have like the category, what is that number, what is the what is the skill, and then the explanation of the skill. The I can, oh wait, this here will show if you wanted to just write on this, you could put in like instruction priority. If you could kind of categorize how important these would be under these three contexts, under the student, the instructor, and employers. So this could be like your overall framework, so to speak, of how you would approach this based on the partnerships that you have. The I can statements here, you will see the skills again, and then you see here your in life, work, education, and teacher. On the third tab, here are your sample self-assessment checklists. This is what they've used to, they've pulled from different areas, and they created a template in Google Doc and in Google Form. They did update this in our preparation for it, and I know they're continuing working on it, but these assessments are available for you to take a look, and the Google Forms are available for you to make a copy and edit them as well. Now, here are your Bridges skills checklists. This is where you will see all the skills grouped or in category, categorized by the skill profile, right? So you have your employment, senior citizen, and it goes all the way to mobile. I wanted to share this link for you. I wanted to take you to take a few minutes to take a look. I have a couple questions to share with you, so we could talk. Back. This will be independent. Let me move. There we go. Oh, my bad. Give me 1 second. I'll get back to where we were. I'm putting here to take 5 minutes. We'll try to do this in 5 minutes. There is one more piece that I wanted to show you, and I want to have time to show you. If we have more time at the end, we could always go back to this and take another look. But take like about 5 minutes, take a look at the checklist and assessment options. Select 2 or 3 digital skill profiles you will use based on the learners at your agency. Identify which skills you would choose, we would focus on first in your classroom. Just select a couple, look at 2 of them, kind of compare them, and make a selection. And if you have learners with different skill levels in the same classroom, or even skill profiles, how would you approach addressing the different skills? I'm putting the information here in the chat. I'll set, it's 11:53 right now and 11:54. So I'll give you 5 minutes. And we'll resume back at 11:59. If you have any questions, I'm here. I'm more than happy to answer any of them. You should be able to open the link. Oh, yep, I see.
There we go. I got it, Jose.
Oh,
You're
you got
good.
it? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. The limited time we have started. Oh, yes, exactly. So it's challenging, right? Because you have, if you look, I'll try, I promise I'll try to be brief with this. So you have ISTE. ISTE standards focus on your cognitive, like what are the benefits of using technology? What do you get out of the integration of technology? And those are like the standards. You have North Star, which is like, if you're looking at the essential skills, which would be like basic computer, internet basics, using email, and then like the operating system modules, those focus on how you navigate or how do you interact with the device in order to start working through what you can do with programs and how you could apply it to your life, which then would be like that SD piece. Seattle, what the digital equity skills, those were focusing is what are those skills without going too much into devices or too much into the cognitive piece. So you're kind of like right there in the middle. With my experience with all three, because I use all three across what we do in digital A3N, there's a resource called the Digital A3N Bridges Digital Learning Checklist, which is based off the checklist that's there. It's not meant to replace it, but it's meant to kind of bring some of the Bridges toolkit features that I liked from that toolkit over into a way for you to see like your whole scope of the resource. So why is it different? Well, the one thing is that it includes the correlated standards from North Star and ISTE, if applicable to that specific skill. It has the tallies of the diverse learner profiles that skill is, if that skill is applicable. And I'll show you what that means. There are multiple filters to view selected digital skills and skills within certain diverse learner profiles. And there are assessments that were added for each Seattle Digital Equity Initiative domain to identify key digital skills that need additional support and instruction. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me see if I have the right microphone.
You're good on our end, Jose. It could just be Carol's connection.
If you need, if there's anything that you missed or you need an additional walkthrough, we could definitely do a tech implementation and support. So based on what you saw from the diverse learner checklist, and I'll talk louder, maybe that would help. There's 3 tabs that we trimmed it down to. One is the self-assessment checklists. Everything from, oh, let me make this a little bigger. Everything from 1 to 18 is the same that it's on the diverse learner checklist. What's new is the Seattle Digital Equity Initiative. These are Google Forms that asks specifically using the I can statements from that previous sheet. So if you go to communication as your example, you would have the communication checklist, what that skill is, and then the I can't statements for that were present there. It's divided by modules, by domains. So that way, if you're just working on one particular domain, then you could target that, collect that information, make your decision where you need to focus your skill, or decide if you do small group, a whole group instruction, or one-on-one. So you have that flexibility. If anyone's interested in breaking that down using spreadsheets, I'm also willing to help with that. So all of that, you have all 10 right here. The next change here is that you have your digital literacy skills listed here on the left side, right? Now, you could check off any of the skills that you would like to target. Let's say I did an assessment and I know these are the skills that I'm going to be working on for this group of students. You could go here, there's a filter view, and there's a selected skills view. When you click on it, you only see the digital skills that you're going to focus on. So now you don't need to look at the entire 75 skills. You're just looking at the skills that you are going to be targeting for a course, a group of students, if it's employment, that kind of thing. You have a North Star correlated skills and an ISTE correlated skills. This number here is referencing to amount of domains that this particular skill is aligned to. If we're going to go into North Star, and this is why I had that pause when Jennifer had mentioned that comment earlier, When you're looking at the skills, then you have communicate effectively is our first one. There's 4 domains that target that particular skill. You have using email, and then a list of whatever standards in that module that target that. You have information literacy with the list of standards, access telehealth appointments, and supporting K-12 distance learning. Okay. And it does this for every single skill. Right now we're under the filter view, but if I take off the filter view, then you could see that across everything. So if your main piece is North Star to drive your digital literacy goals, then even if you do this diverse learner checklist, it would still support you across, it would still transfer over to North Star, whatever is applicable. This is the same. I'm going to hide it. This little plus button hides and unhides. It's like a drawer, right? You're going to do the same thing with the Seattle Digital Equity. I mean, with the SD skills. Same thing, right? You have the list of your different skills. You see what is the I don't know if it's called domain or not, but your digital citizen section, you have a list. And then here you have creative communicator, and you have 3 standards here. So if you're looking to communicate effectively, if you're targeting North Star or you're targeting INSTE, you still have those skills where you could still plan, you could still do pushing, you could do small group, whole group. You have that flexibility because then you get to see everything in one place. And if you wanted to print it out, right, you still have the option to do so, and it's still, retaining that same format. The last piece, right? So I had showed you that I selected these, right? Let's say I'm using North Star. And I already selected my skills. So I'm going to go back to filter views in selected skills view. And right now, these are the skills that I'm working on, right? Now I only see, if I go to print, right? I only see the 2 pages versus however number of pages that I would have if I did the other way. If I go to the next tab, which is the diverse learners and I can statements, here you're going to see the diverse learner type. So looking at that first skill, which is communicate effectively, this skill is present in 5 different learner types. So if you're addressing an entire group and you have to make that decision, if you have to make that decision on selecting, let's say, what you're going to cover whole class and then kind of break down, right now we see collaborate with technology, communicate effectively. I mean, pretty much most of what's in communication is very high in numbers. As you go down, some of them might not be as much. So maintain tech devices, it's 2. So there's like for senior citizen and parent. So maybe you'll have a small group that just targets those 2, and then you have maybe a small group of something else. But this will give you a visual of how these skills in these digital skills apply across different roles. Last but not least, you have the I can statements that was asked. So if you needed to refer to them based on whatever you were working on, then you have those I can statements as well if you needed it. If you needed to refer to it instead of just going back to the form, looking it up and that kind of thing. I know I said that was the last thing. There's one more thing, I promise. The filter views here, you could filter by the skills, but whatever you select on the previous tab would also mirror on this one. So if, let's say, I'm going to show you this way. 1 second. You can see it live. It's not a gimmick. It's not a magic trick. It's a formula. So privacy and security, I'm going to click on PS1. PS5. I'm gonna go all the way up to, sorry. I'm just clicking random, but I'm gonna go to CO1 and CO5, right? So I think I clicked 4. If I do the filter view, oh, there was more clicked, but I only have the list of the standards that I selected. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, it is 4. Okay, sorry. I don't know how to count, forgot. Okay, so I have 4 skills. If I go into my other tab and I just wanted to see what are aligned across like the different skill profiles, I'll do the same thing. I'll go here to filter view, selected skills, and it's going to give me the same 4 that I checked on the other one. So they communicate. It's one-way communication though. So it communicates from tab 2 to tab 3. But then you'll get also, so if you need to print 2, you print your other one, and then you print this one, and then you already know that most of these are aligned. So if you do whole group for most of these, you're good, and then you could be more specific. If you had maybe like a 1 or a 2, maybe you kind of do more differentiation and that kind of thing. I'll share this in the chat. I know we're kind of short on time. If you have any questions, my recommendation, if you needed to explore this, you might need to make a copy in order for you to expand and filter. But if you do, when we share the information later on, next week, make sure to make a copy of that one, because I'm gonna make just a few tweaks on this one. So that way, just so you know, so you get the latest. Is the digital navigator position now a requirement by SDE for each program? So, good question. The digital navigator, those that applied for the technology expansion of services and oh, I'm sorry. Let me do, sorry, it's restricted. If you there you go, try it again. It should let you know open now. For those that were awarded under that grant, that's a requirement for the digital navigator. What I've mentioned in the other sessions is that you might not be a digital navigator, but there's still a lot of the digital components that you still follow, or like if you're a career navigator or you have other roles, you still have, your hand in the pot. So these things that we're sharing here, kind of combining all of it in order to equip digital navigators, but it's still a viable resources for any of those agencies that are really interacting and engaging with the community. You're welcome. You can feel free and take an explore. I think this is our end. Yep. Mary Kate, I used the last slide just to be I like this one. We have 4 minutes. I know it's lunchtime. If you wanted to take a look at the checklist and ask me a couple questions, I'll stay on until then. So you're more than welcome to do that. If not, we have tech implementation and support. So when you have the time to do and take a look and you have a few questions, also schedule something there, a session with us there. Either Mary Kate and I will be more than happy to support and assist you in anything that you need. We also have our website. We are updating our website with different resources, guides, and resources and hands-on and all these wonderful things that we're continuing to add. We're trying to make it easier to access some of the resources by categories and all that. We will be building on that as well. So if there's no questions, thank you so much for joining us today. I hopefully that these resources are support you in your digital navigation with your learners and teachers and agency. And again, I'll stay here, and if you have any questions, we do have our next session, and I closed it by mistake. I know it's with the repositories. Resource Powerhouse. Thank you so much. Our next session will be at 1:20 after lunch. And the title of the session is Resource Powerhouse, Navigating Digital Literacy Repositories. Brianna Pacharka will be presenting for that session. Enjoy your lunch, and thank you very much for attending.